Did Jesus ever actually say, "I am God"? Or is that something the church came up with later? This is a huge question, because if Jesus didn't claim to be God, then a lot of Christianity starts to look very different. But here's the thing, Jesus never says the exact words, "I am God." And yet, the way he spoke, acted, and responded to people made it crystal clear to his audience what he was claiming. Let's break this down, simply, clearly, and honestly. In John 10 verse 30, Jesus says, "I and the Father are one." The religious leaders immediately pick up stones to kill him. Why? They say in verse 33, "Because you, a mere man, claim to be God." Think about that. His audience didn't hear a metaphor. They heard a claim to divinity. And in their minds, that was blasphemy unless it was true. Another moment? John 8 verse 58. Jesus says, "Before Abraham was born, I am." That phrase "I am" is massive. It echoes Exodus 3 verse 14, where God reveals his name to Moses, "I am who I am." And again, what happens next? The crowd tries to stone him. Why? Because he was using God's name for himself. Now you might be thinking, okay, but maybe Jesus was just a prophet, maybe his followers misunderstood him later. Totally fair question. But Jesus didn't just say things, he did things that only God could do. He forgave sins, Mark 2 verses 5 to 7, and the religious leaders said, only God can forgive sins. He accepted worship, Matthew 14 verse 33, John 9 verse 38, angels don't do that, prophets don't either. He claimed authority over the law, the Sabbath, even life and death. Now, let's be honest, not everyone interprets these passages the same way. Some say, Jesus was a wise teacher who became a mythological figure over time. Others say, the early church exaggerated his divinity to build a religion. But here's what's fascinating, the earliest followers of Jesus, people who knew him personally, worshipped him as God. Philippians 2 verse 6, Paul says Jesus was in very nature God. John 1 verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. And these weren't added later. These are first-century writings, close to the time of Jesus. So, did Jesus say the exact words, "I am God"? No. But did he claim to be God through his words, actions, and identity? Absolutely. And his followers were so convinced, many of them died rather than deny it. Here's the bigger question. If Jesus really did claim to be God, what does that mean for you? Is he just a good teacher? Or is he more than that? What would it mean to trust him, not just as a historical figure, but as God himself? If this got you thinking, drop a comment below. What do you think? Did Jesus claim to be God? Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss more deep dives like this one. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the biggest answers come from asking the right questions.